Question 1. This is about driver schedules. Read the question and the relevant scenario data. Gilbert K. has asked you to plan a twice-weekly journey from Dumfries to Maidstone. 1. Give the latest time that Angus Butte can start work at Dumfries on Thursday the 10th of December. 2. Prepare a driver schedule for the journey described in the table. The schedule must start with the latest time that Angus Butte can start work at Dumfries and end with the completion of the handover at Maidstone. Note: you must state the destination for all driving periods. You are only required to provide the driver's name for driving periods. The journey is described in the table, which you may need to pause for or return to later. Driver pre-use checks and paperwork take 30 minutes at Dumfries. Time allowed to load passengers is 18 minutes at Dumfries, Penrith, Richmond and Markfield. Angus and Sarah swap driving at the latest possible time and only at an OCR activity centre. Angus and Sarah return to their depots ASAP after the 10-minute vehicle handover at Maidstone. Angus and Sarah share the return drive to Dumfries in a hire car to be collected at Maidstone. It takes 30 minutes to collect the car. The car journey takes 6.5 hours including breaks, etc. Daily rests are taken at one of the activity centres and must always be taken as late as possible. Calculate the times for the various sections of the journey. Remember the triangle and don't forget to times by 60 to get minutes. As an example, Dumfries to Penrith is 90 kilometres at 60 kilometres per hour. The time taken is 90 kilometres divided by 60 kilometres per hour, which gives you 1 hour 30 minutes. Every schedule has to have a trigger point. Go to the data and find it. Here it is the 05:30 arrival at Maidstone. To find when drivers commence work and to construct a driving schedule, go to the relevant data and add up all the driving time. Then, time spent on other activities, including break times if relevant. In this case, as there are 2 drivers, they can swap over driving en route and become a second driver at rest, so no break off the vehicle is needed. Add this to the total driving time of 7 hours 54 minutes, which you just found, to give a total shift length of 9 hours and 36 minutes. To get the start time, you have to subtract this 9 hours and 36 minutes shift duration from the 05:30 hours end time. Using a sort of 24-hour clock, this 05:30 hours is the same as 29:30 hours. 29:30 minus 9 hours 36 minutes gives a start time of 19:54 hours. 19:54 on the clock. So, to answer the question, part 1, the latest time that Angus Butte can start work at Dumfries on Thursday the 10th of December is 1954 hours. From the data, we can find the times relating to the return car journey. Add them up to find the total time involved for the return journey. If the car were used to get back to Dumfries immediately, the total shift would be 9 hours 36 minutes plus 7 hours 10 minutes, which is 16 hours 46 minutes. Angus is unable to complete this within a 24-hour period, as the maximum possible period at work is 15 hours. Daily rest can only be taken at one of the activity centres, such as Maidstone, and must always be taken as late as possible. We are not given any details of the return route, so do not know if they are going to stop at any of the activity centres. This being the case, the drivers must take their daily rest at Maidstone before the return journey. We are now in a position to complete part 2 of the question. If the drivers only swap over driving at activity centres, they will have to swap over as the table shows. Read the question, part 1b. After completing the handover, the drivers are to collect the hire car and return to their depots as soon as they can. Give the earliest time and day Angus Butte could arrive back in Dumfries. State 2 activities which Angus must record for the period between completing the handover of the coach and arriving back in Dumfries. The minimum possible rest at Maidstone is 9 hours, if that is still available. The car journey is 7 hours, which is working time. A total of 16 hours. This gives an arrival time in Dumfries of 0540 hours plus 16 hours, which is 2140 hours on the Friday. Both the rest in Maidstone and the other work, the driving back to Dumfries, must be recorded. The OCR Chief Examiner issues a report as to how candidates fared on each question. This is his report to this question. You may need to pause. You can sit your P1 passenger or your R1 freight multi-choice CPC 60-question exam with us at our office 24/7, any hour of any day, with virtually no notice. The advantage is that you get the results immediately, and if you were to fail at your first attempt, you could do a second attempt immediately following the first result. A further advantage is that it gets this out of your hair and well away from the case study paper written exam.